Alright, so this is our cheap diesel heater that we bought used. I don't think it was actually used. Somebody bought it and then never used it and then sold it to us for like 50 bucks. Just to try to get our feet wet, see how this is like. But this kicks out a lot of heat. I gotta say that. It's pretty interesting. So I've got this tiny little battery which ended up draining too quickly, so I hooked the charger to it. So that's just being charged. 12-volt battery, no big deal. Then there's a fuse running to this wire harness. Out of the wire harness comes this, which is the control panel. Pretty straightforward. And then out of the other side of the wiring harness comes the controls for the fuel pump. Fuel pump is pulling fuel from this little tank, little plastic tank. It's just got a straw going into it. That's pretty straightforward. And then out of the third part of the wiring harness comes the controls for the actual heater. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. As soon as I bring the camera out, fire truck or airplane, one of the two, no matter what. So, as everyone probably already knows, we have the air intake coming in here. We're pulling in air for the combustion chamber, and then this blows out the exhaust. So both of these items would be outside of the cab of the truck. This would be mounted on the inside. So we pull air in, we burn the fuel, and then the exhaust goes out here. Then that heats up, I guess, a cylinder in there of some sort that then heats up the air that's being sucked in from the back here. So air is coming in, being heated by that combustion chamber, and then thrown out here. The air coming in and being thrown out of the heater does not mix with the air coming in and being burned by the heater, because you wouldn't want diesel exhaust coming into your cabin, even though that's hot. Obviously you can't breathe that, so you want clean air coming in. So the two things are separate. This thing is pretty clunky, to say the least. These instructions are unreadable. I don't even know how to start with this. And this screen here is complicated and not very clear at all. But I think I got it to turn on. It's going right now. It's blowing hot air. And then I think I can turn the heater up. So we can crank it all the way up to its highest heat level. And that is crazy hot. And I know you can't see anything on this screen. I can't really see anything. There's quite a glare. Alright, we're going to drill 2 holes with this. 2.5 inch. There's our hole. Alright, I think we need to run this through here. Because this is going to plug into the pump. And this goes on here like so. And we need to screw that down. Alright, that's nice and tight. Something I couldn't really find. I found one person and they sealed this to the floor of the cab with Sikaflex, which I'm not really into doing because I want to be able to pull this back off easily if I need to. So I'm actually going to use this butyl tape left over from the windows, kind of winging this part. The idea is that you don't want any fumes from the exhaust making their way back up into the cab somehow. Right here. So I'm not going to tighten those down just yet. I'm going to wait until I've got everything hooked up. Make sure I don't have to pull this off again. I'm sure I will. And then I'll tighten those down. Alright, so next up we are going to do the intake. It's going to attach here. We've got those holes, that's where the air comes in. This little groove, so this can lie flush. Still get airflow inside. Alright, I had to go get some hose clamps. These are stainless. The ones that it came with were just absolutely unusable. Alright, exhaust tube goes here. Alright, there's our exhaust. I think the last thing we have to do is get some fuel going to this thing. Well, sorry, two things, fuel and electric. Alright, next up we got to mount the fuel tank. This is spot number 1. This is a possibility. So that's nice. And then we can access the spout here very easily. Fuel it up. Now I could also put it here. So this one would be worse, but I could also mount it to the frame, but then I would have to build something to hold it. I don't know if I feel like doing that at the moment. Alright, I think we're going over here. That's what we're doing. We're just gonna make this work. Alright, now we need to tap this thing. Alright, let's cut this down to size. We don't want to go all the way to the bottom. Got about a ½ inch from the bottom. Perfect. If there's any sediment or anything bad that sits to the floor, we won't suck it up. So mine came with this little plastic thing that goes around the pump, and apparently the electric end goes toward the heater itself. So this goes in here. I had to modify it just a slight bit at the end here so it would fit around here. Wasn't a perfect fit. The plug goes on here like so. That clips in. This goes in here like so. It's not the best thing in the world, but it'll have to do. I bent this little bracket into place, and we are going to put that there. Alright, and then we are going to mount this up here. So I'm hoping this is enough clearance here for the heat. So that's what she's going to look like. So we need to get this cemented in there. This is a really tight fit. I'm going to go ahead and put some silicone around there anyway, just for safe measure. I don't think anything's ever going to come out of here anyway. It's at the very top. But just in case, we're going to put that down like so. And then we are going to use these self-tapping screws. Be very gentle because this is just plastic after all. Those are in. Finish this off by hand. Alright, comes straight out the back. We can go mount this puppy now. That is tight. I'm going to probably cover that electric at some point. But everything else is tight and in place. These 4 bolts are tight, so this is locked down. Alright, got these in, clamped on there. I cut this in half with a hacksaw, very simple. Clamp these on here. I ran out of clamps, so I can't clamp these on. I don't think that's important. Next, I will, once we get the bed in here and everything, I'll zip tie this down probably right here, and then make sure that these, maybe extend them out so we get a wider reach, but we'll see. Yeah, because these can just accordion out, they can go pretty far. And then next we just have the electrical system, this wad of wires right here. Alright, the diesel heater is complete. Well, mostly. What is ever actually complete? So we got it in here, we got it wired up. It's running through there, under here. It's going under the mat here, into the box, and it is this fuse right there. So that's good. I did not run it to a switch. In all the instructions that I read, they said you don't want to just turn the thing off or just completely take power away from it. There's a whole shutdown procedure because it's hot. So I figured having a switch wouldn't be the best idea, so I just ran it straight to the fuse block, and we'll have to turn it on and off with the screen. Now the screen, I'm just going to mount it right here on the side of the inverter, and I think what I'm going to do is just get a big magnet so I can just magnet this sucker right here. Next thing we need to do is test it out. So I'm going to go dump some diesel in there and see how it goes. So I have easy access to this thing through this compartment right here. Got the fuel tank right here. That comes off. Super easy. We can fill that up at the fuel station when we're doing the tank. It's on the same side, so that's handy. And we have our exhaust here. We have our fuel filter, our fuel pump, and our air intake. Vents are done, well, as done as they're going to be in this truck. I just zip tied them on. So we got one vent coming out of there, plenty of space here, and one vent coming out of here. So that's in place. It's tidied up. We're done. Last thing I need to address is this exhaust. And I've been looking all over YouTube. I cannot find anybody who talks about this seriously. But when I first started this up, one of the times it was smoking white smoke, which is discussed a lot, how to get rid of the white smoke, whatever. But when it was smoking, the smoke was coming out of here, it was coming out of here, it was coming out of here. So every connection it was coming out of. So these connections are not airtight, not even close. And yeah, you get rid of the white smoke and you can't see white smoke coming out of there, but that doesn't mean the exhaust isn't still coming out. And I don't want diesel exhaust just leaking out of anywhere, especially not up here, that close to the cab, or the box, our bed, whatever. So I need to figure out a way to seal that and that. Obviously it should be coming out of here, but I think I still also want to get another piece of pipe to run this even further away from underneath the truck and out away from the truck. So I need to look into that. I think I might end up purchasing a real Eberspacher exhaust that's longer with a better muffler. That was another thing I did find online, was somebody taking one of these apart, and this is just very poorly made. There's nothing in there. It's just a spring that goes across here with a little bit of foam or something like it. And this is just tack welded here and here. There's no way that this is airtight either. So this thing's gonna leak. So that is just a bunch of junk. And I don't really care in the other areas. Like, if this starts leaking, I'll be able to see it, and it's not the end of the world. It's just a little bit of diesel fuel, and I can, address that if it happens. The air intake, I don't care if that leaks either. We're just pulling air in, whatever. But this is diesel exhaust. I don't want to be breathing that in any way, shape, or form. I have looked into maybe something to put on the joints to seal them, but I have not come up with anything solid. There was some exhaust putty that I found that Chris Fix was actually using on a real exhaust, but it seems like that hardens, and I don't necessarily want that because I need to be able to take that back off. So it can't be like JB Weld and weld that exhaust to the exhaust port or whatever it is called, because we need to be able to loosen that up and take it back off at some point if this needs servicing, or when we're done using this box and we need to take it all apart. So that's not an option. So it needs to be some kind of high heat, something malleable, like a putty or a paste or something like that that can fill in all the gaps, and a better muffler, because this is crap and pretty useless, and maybe better pipe that's not going to rust. I don't know if this is going to rust or not. I don't even know if this is supposed to be quote-unquote stainless. Not sure. For $50 or $100 heater, there, I can't imagine they used real stainless. So anyway, that's kind of the last frontier on this thing, but other than that, it works fine. Alright, I'm going to try to illustrate this leaking situation. Of course, airplane and fire engine. Usually it's one or the other. Now it's both. Anyway, got my shop vac, switched the sides so it blows instead of sucks. We're going to blow air through here. My little makeshift duct tape converter. We're going to blow air in there, and then I'm going to spray soapy water on it, see if there are any issues. Oh wow. Well, the muffler's definitely bubbling. Oh yeah. Oh, look at all that. So as I said, there are quite a few leaks in this thing. Well, the 2 points where it connects and the muffler itself. Awful. So that's all just diesel exhaust blowing out. I might as well just take it off. I mean, what's the point? It's all going to end up underneath the truck anyway. I guess this is supposed to muffle the sound a little bit. So anyway, I've got to figure that out. It's working. You can see the smoke coming out of here just a little bit. I can't see it over there, but definitely here. All right, so this thing is running right now. Tons of hot air coming out of here. I figured out how to set it. I'm going to use this P value. The higher it is, the more heat it kicks out. Maxes out at 5.5. That's a lot of hot air for this little small space. So that should work really well. Let's turn that back down. All right, we painted the tank. I left a strip here, like I said, so I can see the level of the fuel. So that is done. I tightened down all these connections even more, so I'm hoping that eliminates any leaking. I mounted the control panel right here on the side of the inverter, and I think we're gonna leave it there. Like I just showed, it is leaking the exhaust, and I've been researching possibly buying like a real Eberspacher exhaust pipe and muffler. So I'll probably go that route because it's not that crazy expensive, and see how that does. If you have any ideas as to how to seal the inputs on that, the connections, then please let me know and I will try that. But for now I'm going to call this complete because I have a million other things to work on, and it is definitely kicking out heat. And I'll definitely put a CO2 monitor or a CO monitor over there right next to it just in case. So that's all I've got for now. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching.